Maybe most of you know about our story, which is part of the Palestinian struggle for justice. Laila spoke about the situation in Gaza, and in the West Bank it is not so much, totally different than in Gaza. And our story based on a family story that my grandfather bought a land southwest of Bethlehem, and it is now located in the middle of 5 Israeli settlements and on a hill. And the Israelis are trying to take the land since 1991. And they tried many ways to take it. Even we have, as a family, we have the papers that are since 1960, since the day that my grandfather bought the land, from the Ottomans, from the English, from the Jordanians, and from the Israelis. And even we have papers that we paid taxes at that time. Of course, the situation was changing in 1967, when Israel started creating facts on the ground and building settlements. And then the first Intifada started, then the peace agreements. And with the peace agreements, the West Bank was divided into 3 zones, areas, Area A, B, and C. And we are talking again about homelands for Palestinians. We are controlling, as Palestinians, around 18% of the whole West Bank. Most of it is under Area C, which is totally controlled by the Israelis. So when we are talking about land, we are not controlling it. And we are talking about a Palestinian state in the future. Where is this state going to be established? 60% of the land is not under our control. Not only land, but also borders and resources. And what we are there is like we are living in small homelands, separated from each other. And Laila mentioned about traveling from the West Bank or from Gaza outside. We are living in Bethlehem, and Bethlehem is about 6 miles away from the city of Jerusalem. It's easier for us to come to the United States than to go to Jerusalem. Living in Bethlehem, where children are growing up without knowing anything about their holy places. I have 3 children, and one time it happened that we got all of us permits to go to Jerusalem during Easter time. My son, 7 years old, he thought Jerusalem is a toy. And the moment we wanted to enter Jerusalem, the soldier told us, now Jerusalem is closed, come tomorrow. And we had just for 1 day a permit. So even trying our best to live under these circumstances is not so easy. So back to our story, the Israelis tried 4 ways so far to take the land. We we appealed against land confiscation in 1991, and we are still in court. 20 years of legal battle, 12 years in front of the military court, and over 8 years in front of the Supreme Court. Beside that, we had physical pressure on the ground, attacks from the Israeli settlers who came, cutting our trees, threatening us in order to push us out. And they tried also to isolate, and they are trying to isolate us. So now the access road to the farm is closed by a roadblock. And of course, very soon, it will be totally disconnected from Bethlehem area through the wall, which is existing on Palestinian land and is separating Palestinians from Palestinians and Palestinians from their own land. So very soon, we will be facing a lot of challenges on the ground with isolation. Last year we received on the spot there, of course it's Area C, and we are not allowed to have drinking water, no electricity, and no building permit. And of course, having the 3 things together, that means the land can be developed. But the idea is to make it difficult for us to exist there. So we received 9 demolishing orders for 9 structures we built without a permit. Among them are tents and shades. They are not permanent structures, but the idea is to make it difficult for us to exist. When we talk about the wall, it's not about like the wall that is built at the border between the West Bank and Israel. In our area, we will be totally isolated. We are located here. And this is the border between the West Bank and Israel, the green line, and this is the root of the wall in our area. And what you see here, blue and light blue, are Israeli settlements. So we will be living in an enclave there. And of course, when we talk about Area C, in the West Bank, there are about 1.3 million Palestinians living there, a little bit more. But most of them are living in Area A and B, which are the Palestinian-controlled area. On Area C, the minority of the Palestinians are living there, about 150,000 Palestinians, but now with over 400,000 Israeli settlers. Now in Area C, and where we are located here, there are about 50,000 Israeli settlers, and of course the number of settlers is increasing day by day, and about 25,000 Palestinians living in 5 villages. And the settlements are not settlements as we think, they are colonies, they are big cities. And of course, this situation will disconnect the Palestinians from their own land, and of course, they have no options, maybe to respond to this injustice, maybe with violence, with resignation, or with leaving the country. In our example, and we are still facing the difficulties on the ground, we said we are people who live their faith. It's very important to say that. We refuse to be victims, and we refuse to be enemies. And also, they cannot force us to hate. So we are people who believe in justice, and the idea is that justice will prevail at the end. Of course, it's a long way, but we can overcome our obstacles. And that's why we created a fourth option for our struggle, which is a non-violent way of action, overcoming or resisting and overcoming the evil with good. And this is also a Christian way of action. Under the slogan, we refuse to be enemies, we created the Tent of Nations. And the idea is we want to invest our frustration constructively. People are not created to hate each other. We cannot overcome evil with evil. We cannot overcome fear with fear. We cannot overcome darkness with darkness. So we need to act differently. And the idea of the Tent of Nations is to invest our frustration constructively and to make this place a place of encounter, place of building bridges between people. And of course we are facing challenges on the ground, no electricity, no building permit, and no running water. But there is a way. We are collecting rainwater, we are having a solar power system, and very soon we'll install a wind turbine. And the idea is to prove to people, don't sit down, don't cry, and don't blame the other. Stand up, raise your voice, and start acting differently. No permits to build on the ground, we build under the ground. We are building caves. And of course, this creative way of action will open the way for other people to see us as human beings. And of course, to teach them or to educate them about the truth. As we said, how do we know the truth? So when we know the truth will set us free. And of course, we are trying to invest in a positive way. And of course, we are trying to do a lot of work on the ground. Summer camp activities, tree planting activities, bringing children together, because this is important for us to empower them, and of course doing a lot of work camps to work on the ground, but also to do practical work, of course, and also to visit the other places and learn from each other. We have a women project started by my wife, Jihan, who started this project 5 years ago. It's a woman empowerment project, and the poems that were read yesterday actually from those women in the village. Besides teaching English, we started farming classes. We are trying all our best to make this place a symbol of hope and peace, and that's why we are trying to think in a positive way for the future. And our hope is actually to do a vocational training center for people. Of course, it's not so easy since we need to get building permits, but we invite you Ministry. We have more information about this project outside. And of course, Friends of United Nations, US. It's important to mention at the end of this presentation that hope, love, and faith are connected together in our struggle. Without those three words, we cannot establish much. And this is my son Bishara on the tractor. Bishara means the good news.